Welcome to this very special episode of Theme Park 101. Since it is the month of Halloween, we'll look into an idea about a ride that has the spirit of the month all throughout the year. The Haunted Mansion is a staple ride at Disneyland, and many guests' favorite rides, including myself. However, there is a popular theory circling around fans that may surprise you in this otherwise family-friendly attraction. You yourself commit suicide by the end of the ordeal. Don't believe me? Well, let's go through each moment of the ride from beginning to end, and we'll see what really happens to your immortal soul. This theory has been going around for a while now, but I'd like to dig deeper into the subject and see if there are any other supporting evidence besides the ones that have already been unearthed. Let's begin even before entering the mansion itself. Looking at it from a distance, it looks, really well kept, almost inviting, you might think. The house isn't boarded up, the wood is not rotted, and the greenery around the mansion looks like it's been watered that morning. Now, why would a vacant house be kept so nice outside the manor? The explanation comes from Walt Disney himself. Artists Harper Goff and Imagineer Ken Anderson were put to the task of creating Walt Disney's idea of a haunted house attraction. It was located in a secluded area of Main Street, USA, looking like a traditional run-down-looking haunted house. However, Walt Disney didn't like the idea of a dilapidated mansion in the middle of his otherwise pristine park. In Walt's own words, "We'll take care of the outside and let the ghosts take care of the inside." This is the Disney explanation, but I theorize it's a way to lure in victims into a false sense of security. To think there is nothing remotely wrong with the place. I mean, if you saw a house in your neighborhood with overgrown weeds, boarded up windows, and peeling paint, would you feel invited? Well, anyway, as you're walking through this rather lush and well-kept lawn, a sharp eye will notice a mausoleum right next to the mansion. Now, why would a mansion need a place to store so many bodies? It is until you finally enter the mansion that you notice the decay of the manor. Cobwebs adorn every candelabrum. Suddenly, a voice welcomes you.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion. I am your host, your ghost host.
The host then urges you into a gallery depicting previous guests of the manor that appeared in their corruptible mortal states, just like you. The walls begin to move as the paintings morph, revealing the method of death each of the previous guests endured. You feel trapped as the ghost host reveals a disturbing fact.
This chamber has no windows and no doors, which offers you this chilling challenge to find a way out. Of course, there's always my way.
The lightning reveals the body of your host, now a dried-up corpse hanging from the rafters of the mansion. The only way out is death.
Oh, I didn't mean to frighten you prematurely. The real chills come later.
An opening is revealed, and the ghost host claims that there are 999 ghosts haunting this manor. Some from all over the world. Maybe even some of the manor's own victims. As a side note, which I'm pretty sure is obvious, but why 999? That's why. You'll notice that the loading area is nearly pitch black and has an almost otherworldly sense to it. You're no longer inside the mansion, but rather in limbo between life and death. Imagineer Claude Coates designed it a little differently than how it is today, with inspiration from the dark rides of the time. Most loading stations at carnivals had murals or scenery depicting what you will see inside the ride, sort of a sneak peek of what's in store. The ghost host says a rather chilling explanation that foreshadows your fate through your journey.
And now, a carriage approaches to take you into the boundless realm of the supernatural.
After boarding the doom buggies, your tour begins. You're guided into a seance room where even more spirits show themselves after contacting the dead. This is proven as fact as ghosts are finally visible within the ballroom. This is where the ghost host leaves you, conveniently just before your death. Now he does depart from you with a rather interesting word.
The happy haunts have received your sympathetic vibrations and are beginning to materialize. They're assembling for a swinging wake.
The word wake is a ceremony associated with the dead. A traditional wake takes place in a house of the recently deceased with a body present. In this case, your body. It also includes a social gathering in honor of the deceased. Now we'll get to that later. After reaching the attic, you're at your breaking point. Imagine yourself as a person in a real haunted house, possibly a skeptic. Seeing what had just transpired, here you'd likely think you've gone insane. The old version of the attic had this eerie silence with nothing but the beating of a heart, possibly replicating your sanity slowly slipping away with each beat. The last thing you see is a bride with glowing eyes. This is the nail in the coffin, no pun intended, that finally sends you into a swirling mental breakdown, having you plunge yourself out the attic window. In the new version of the attic, there is another bride named Constance, a black widow of a bride who would kill her recently married husband. She's had many victims during her life, as depicted with the countless portraits of her and her previous husbands. Now, as a spirit, she makes another victim out of you.
Till death do us part.
Once you've flung yourself out the window, you notice that the ride vehicles turn to make you go down a hill backwards with you lying on your back. This represents your body falling to its death. During this moment, it is rumored that Imagineers had the idea of riders falling through a recently dug grave rather than falling through a forest of menacing-looking trees. However, it was decided to be too morbid for guests. Yeah, as if this wasn't morbid enough. Well, anyway, after falling to your death, you see the only living character throughout the whole ride, a gravedigger and his dog. Yet you notice that he's absolutely terrified at your presence. You think that he'd be relieved to see another living being near this dreadful manor. But you're not a living, breathing person anymore, are you? You turn into the graveyard and notice a huge party going on. Remember that word wake I was talking about? That whole social gathering for the recently deceased? Well, this is your wake. Grim-grinning ghosts have indeed come out to socialize, and they are celebrating your departure with the living and your arrival in the afterlife. Another supporting fact is that you have noticed the sudden change in tone and mood of the ride. You know, at first the atmosphere was eerie, dark, creepy. Disembodied screams and howls echo through the halls. But now the tone of the ride is more cheerful and whimsical. Ghosts are now viewable and are singing happily along with you rather than disembodied moans and screams. You are now one of them, and as a ghost, you should no longer fear what you now are. So you finally reach the end of the ride. The host warns you of hitchhiking ghosts, and that they may follow you home. You get one final little scare, as you see in a mirror that a ghost has indeed boarded your vehicle and aims to stay with you till you return home. You finally leave your doom buggies and head up the moving walkway back to the land of the living. It was, after all, only a ride. You're not really dead after all. But then you hear a woman's disembodied voice.
Hurry back. Be sure to bring your death certificate if you decide to join us. Make final arrangements now. We've been dying to have you.
You are indeed dead, and the voice beckons you to spend the rest of your afterlife here in the mansion with them. All you need is your death certificate. They are letting you out for the time being to make final arrangements, otherwise known as your unfinished business, and can return to spend your afterlife haunting Walt Disney's The Haunted Mansion. Thanks for watching this Halloween special of Theme Park 101. Now, hopefully this little theory didn't spoil your opinions on this remarkable ride by Walt Disney and his amazing Imagineers. It truly is the benchmark of any dark ride, attempting the same feel and effort it made to create this masterpiece of a ride. To the side, you'll see some links to some of my old ride recreations dedicated to some of Disneyland's amazing attractions, lovingly recreated in RCT3. These videos are unlisted, so this is the only place you'll get a link to see the videos. So go ahead and have a look and tell me what you think. Once again, thanks for watching. I'm Kai Rubix, and have a happy Halloween.